Muckers! Welcome back to my YouTube channel. I hope you're all having the best day ever. Thank you so much for clicking on my video and on my channel today. I really appreciate your time and I appreciate you being here. And finally, we are closing the chapter on the newest Shane Dawson and Jeffree Star series, but I come bearing good and bad news. So the good news is, this is the final video we will be making on this new series that they did together. The bad news is, Shane has just announced that he's coming out with another one of these style videos involving Morgan and Ryland. So, buckle up, buckaroo, because we're not done yet. But yes, so we have finished all 3 episodes, and if you're aware on my channel, I really enjoy hearing what you have to say in between each of the episodes, your opinion on them, because I think it gives a much broader understanding to how we're all feeling about the videos that Shane's putting out, especially because we're so used to watching the conspiracy series, we're so used to Shane and Jeffree as, like, individuals on the internet, and I have my opinions, I make them very known, but also I really do like, you know, just being like, what's your opinion, and just reading out as many as possible, and seeing if I agree or disagree with them. Now, me agreeing with a point, or me disagreeing with it, doesn't make it a good or bad point, it just makes it more opinions, which is great, and I really like doing that on my channel, and thank you so much to everyone who has been doing this. So we're going to jump right into it. So, second channel's linked down below, new videos every single day over there, and also the private Facebook Muckers group for this community is down there. If you go click the link, request to join, I will accept you. That's where all these posts are, and I read a bunch from the YouTube comments as well, basically hearing what your take is on it. And today I'm going to be doing a mix of both. So we're going to be starting with the Facebook group. So again, I put up a post that said the following. I said, and finally, the last episode is here. And you know what I'm about to ask? Yeah, you do. Let me know your opinions on the last episode of the Shane Dawson and Jeffree Star series, from the palette to what they discussed, to random moments in the video. Let me know. Did the series seem fulfilling to you? Did the 3rd episode live up to the hype? Because if you haven't watched my other videos, the 2 hours in the first 2 episodes were basically leading up that the 3rd episode was gonna, you know, give us everything we needed. And I was basically asking, did it give you everything you needed? I want to know. Let's talk. I'll read out a bunch in my upcoming video. Now, again, I want to reference back that the entire series was about their unreleased palette, which was called the Doomsday palette, which we have it right here, and we can see the palette in all its glory right here. And I put this on my Twitter, and the tweet got a lot of engagement, and it was majority not the most positive. And now a lot of people were saying, like, ugh, oh my god, like, what did we expect? The responses to, like, an Adam McIntyre tweet. Like, the Muckers are so toxic, and of course the Muckers are not gonna like the palette, because all of, like, my subscribers who were following me, and maybe didn't even, you know, watch my videos but follow me, were responding being like, what is the color story? Like, what is it? They were making this big deal about a Doomsday palette. Most of the people in my Twitter were saying that this looks like the reject colors of every single Jeffree Star palette thrown into one, because there's no sense here. And Shane spent the entire first 2 episodes saying how he finally understands makeup and he understands the color story. Then what's this? Like, what is this? And again, a lot of people were saying that, of course, it was going to be, you know, a negative reaction to the palette under my Twitter, because, of course, how dare Adam McIntyre tweet it out. But ironically, most of the people that were engaging with that tweet did not even follow me on Twitter, and I would assume have not even watched my videos. It was like general public Twitter being like, I don't care about Shane or Jeffree, but this palette sucks ass. And it was like a general consensus that this palette seemed like the reject palette. And again, it basically got rejected. Jeffree didn't make it in the end. But anyway, we're going to get to some opinions. So I'm going to try to get to as many as possible. I'm going to go to the beginning of the post and then just read a couple, scroll, read a couple, scroll, to kind of give as broad as possible, darlings. Starting with Arya saying, honestly, could have been summarized in a 10-minute video. We have Candace saying, I didn't mind it at all. I always enjoy a behind-the-scenes look at the ranch. Now, that was my favorite part of this series. I think that, like, Jeffree Star has evolved into this really interesting figure that I can't, you know, I can't wrap my head around the fact that he's, like, a farmer now, and he's not in the mansion anymore, what I'm used to. He's on this star yacht. Like, why aren't we focusing on that? Why the fuck is there hundreds of yaks walking? Why is he, like, butchering them? And, like, can we focus on that, like, fascinating storyline? But it wasn't focused on. It was more so building up to this, you know, palette was going to be, you know, not released, and how sad they feel about it. But they were doing all this in, you know, Star Yak Farm, Star Yak Ranch, and it's like, that was so fascinating. So I agree with you, Candace, where you're saying that you know, the yak footage was really interesting, and, you know, I'm saying that I wish I got more of that, and there was more of a focus on that, because the entire series promotional schedule was like, look at them at the, you know, the yak ranch, and it was like Shane and like the cowboy, and Jeffree and the cowboy, or whatever. But whenever we're watching the series, they don't really touch upon that at all. They're talking about drama from 2019 while on the yak, and it's just like, it was a missed opportunity to me. It was a missed opportunity. It could have been summed up into shorter videos, but I really didn't see anything bad about the series. I did find it quite funny that Jeffree was talking about quitting YouTube because no one uses YouTube, while Shane is filming him in a series for YouTube. Now, a lot of people, like Lore Bats, were saying the palette was so confusing. It didn't make sense at all, and maybe it would have if it was arranged differently, but no, I really didn't like it. Also, I watch, you know, mainly long-form content on YouTube, and I watch the same amount of YouTube, if not more YouTube, than what I did 5 years ago. Jeffree is out of touch. So this was Jeffree basically saying that I'm not getting millions of views on my video anymore, so YouTube sucks as a platform, and nobody's watching YouTube anymore because nobody's watching me. And it was like the most like egotistical thing I've ever heard from like anyone's mouth. And normally I assume things like that will come out of a YouTuber's mouth, but like hearing it and like them doubling down on it and Shane being like, oh my god, this is so shocking to hear. It's not shocking to hear, it's delusional to hear. Like, literally, who else would be like, my channel is not doing, that's like me posting a video and it underperforms and I'm like, well, no one's watching YouTube. No, Adam, your video just sucked. Like, come on. Anyway, so Phoebe Gray said, I think that there was no need for the first 2 videos after seeing the last one. Everything was said in this video. I did get quite bored after Jeffree had finished the conversation about quitting YouTube. And I'm still not sure if he even has quit YouTube because he's posted more videos than what he said he was going to have done. Was the whole thing a joke or was it just a bit? I don't know. The bit that I enjoyed was Shane joking around about the yaks having names when they went to dinner. I still find that situation with Jeffree's yaks very odd. After him giving the impression that they were all pets to him and he would never be doing it for butchering purposes, which is what he literally went on, like, people were accusing him of only getting yaks to, like, sell them and, you know, get meat off them. And he was like, how dare you? These are my pets. These are my babies. And then a couple months down the line, he had, like, trademarked. Do you remember that? He had trademarked Star Yak Meat or something like that. And I made a video on it. And a bunch of other people made a video and articles on it being like, he just trademarked this. Oh my god, is Jeffree Star going to start butchering his yaks? And he responded to all of us saying that we're stalkers, we're delusional, we're coming up with drama, like, we are just, like, the worst people in the entire world. And it basically was just so fucking crazy that he was getting the trademark, and he probably was already in the process of getting all the yaks fucking butchered or whatever to make them into food. And we called it out because we saw, you know, the paperwork of the filing, but we were the liars, we were the dishonest ones. And then a couple weeks down the line, he's like, Star Yak Burgers, available now. It's just like, I don't agree with it, which is ironic because I, like, eat meat, but I try to eat as less as what I, you know, do moving forward because I have and was vegan for a long time, and it was, you know, a choice that I actually enjoyed, and, you know, I would always love to go back to that, and, like, moving forward in my life, I really don't go out of my way to eat that much meat. I really enjoy eating plant-based. That doesn't say I don't eat meat, so I am hypocritical being like, it's shocking to hear, like, see the yaks, and then, like, in the next clip, they're, like, eating it, because I engage in that as well. But all I'm saying is, it's fascinating, and I would love for it to be dived into a bit deeper, like, how Jeffree got here, why Jeffree chose this, rather than just, like, Shane talking about being cancelled! Again, like, fuck me. Alright, okay. Don't go acting like they're your pets if you're just getting them for that purpose. That was a bit of a tangent that clip of the video was the only part that made me laugh. Everything else was really not that surprising to me. Jeffree quitting YouTube isn't even interesting or surprising. At this point, he only ever does videos to release his new products and nothing else. I feel that he lost interest a long time ago. Now, a lot of people like Madison were saying that they were actually severely uncomfortable with how much Shane had an obsession with, like, trying to get Jeffree to drink alcohol and trying to get Jeffree to get drunk because Jeffree made it very apparent that, allegedly, he's never drank alcohol before, and Shane was like, let's get you drunk, and a lot of people were saying that they've, you know, struggled with alcoholism, or, you know, and are alcoholics, or have people they know are alcoholics, and that full thing of Shane trying to, like, taunt him to, like, get drunk, or I'll get stoned if you get drunk. It made a lot of people uncomfortable. Now, again, I don't know their friendship boundaries. I'm not going to speak for them. But if that was done to me or that I saw that happening to other people, that would make me quite uncomfortable. I even know, like, on nights out with my friends, whenever I just want to go out with a Red Bull and some people are like, come on, take a drink, that makes me uncomfortable. So I can't even imagine not drinking and then your friend on camera being like, let's get you drunk, let's get you a tequila. And Jeffree's, like, doubling down on, like, no. And then Shane's like, but it's a new series, let's get you to drink. All right, okay. So, we have a couple people saying, like Sierra, did you see that they're now selling Doomsday merchandise? So it was another cash grab. Now, a lot of people were talking about this. They have came out, not with the Doomsday palette, but with the Doomsday hoodies and t-shirts and stuff like that. So, again, this series was made knowing that at the end of it, there was going to be a merchandise drop. Now, they really haven't promoted it other than, like, Instagram stories and Twitter and, like, YouTube community tab. Basically, because I know that, like, once they do that, a lot of people will be like, oh, you are doing the exact same thing, which is using a series just as, like, an ad placement. Which, you know, is fine, it's their job, but you would just much rather they be honest about it. It definitely already was, because they're selling merchandise. The Doomsday. Why would you have sold Doomsday, you know, merchandise if you hadn't created it back in 2020? You've created it in the year 2022 for the series. It's all planned. So Shane, again, in the series being like, I don't want people to think this series is planned. And, you know, these ideas are just flowing day by day. It was all planned. He had the hoodies available for the release of the end episode. So again, lying to his audience wouldn't be Shane. All right, okay. So Jennifer said, the fact that this was the best one out of all three of them really isn't saying much. Both of them just seem so contrived and their personalities are just for show. Jeffree wants to come across as the unbothered, unplugged cowboy, but at the same time does TikTok even though he hates it. Jeffree will go where the money is, period. Which again, it's his job, so I'm not going to judge him for that. And his mean, petty self wasn't getting him the money from YouTube anymore, so now he's wholesome and aloof. Not buying it. Shane, on the other hand, is holding on for dear life to his persona of dad of YouTube, even though his pouting and sad faces to Jeffree's news will always just make him come across immature to me. There's no depth to the conversations they had, except maybe for Ryland. Now again, Ryland's not my favorite person in the entire world. We've talked about this. But all I will say is, in this series, I actually enjoyed Ryland the most. I feel that Ryland, he was always there, even when you thought he wasn't. He provided the best questions. He provided the best tangents. I think he made great points. I think he was actually a nice addition to the series, and I think that, retrospectively, looking back on the three parts, I enjoyed most about the series the two people that the series didn't focus on. I enjoyed Ryland and Chris, the filmer, more than what I enjoyed Shane and Jeffree. Now, I was rooting, and I've said this, for Shane and Jeffree to make an interesting series, i.e. 3 vlogs, because I'm going to watch it, I'm going to review it for you, and I would much rather review something that's interesting. Basically, kind of like how we all don't agree with what Trisha and Ethan said on Frenemies, but my review videos on them are interesting, because Frenemies was very interesting. So whenever I'm reviewing something that's kind of fucking boring, it's hard for me to spice it up. So I was rooting for them to make an exciting video. I wasn't rooting hard enough, apparently. Alright, okay. So, we have another one. I'll scroll down a little bit. Okay, so let me scroll to the bottom. Mitchie said, I'm going to go from here, and then I'm going to go to the YouTube comments to kind of get a fair, range, because I know not everyone's on Facebook, and I appreciate that. Mitchie said, honestly, I'm not impressed at all with the series. It just felt kind of pointless to me. I never watched any of Shane or Jeffree, and I'm kind of glad I didn't, because they don't have that grabbing of a personality, and I'm not entirely sure how they lasted as long as what they have, even with the cancellations. And I truly think that it would be best if maybe they left YouTube for alternative things, which Jeffree has done with the Yaks. And why wasn't that focused on in the series? Like, Shane, you self-proclaimed director, cinematographer, whatever the fuck, you got the holy grail of Jeffree Star having this really weird and interesting, like, change in his entire life. And that was the best you did with it. Like, and Chris, I like you, but I'm gonna blame you too. It's your job to film it. But again, there's only, if the stuff in front of you isn't interesting, there's only so much you can film to make it interesting. A lot of their takes I didn't appreciate or support, not only with the media, but also about how Jeffree talked about Colorado. It just didn't sit with me. Alright, okay, so now I'm gonna go to my YouTube video on this, so I can hear what the YouTube muckers think about it. So again, this is the final video on the series, but I will be responding to comments down below, so let me know your opinion. So here we go, my final video on this. So I'm going to go through, and whatever comments are kind of recommended at the top, I will read them. Now, a lot of people like Addie are saying, I honestly think the second palette should have been called Controversy. Like, conspiracy and controversy sound so good together. And just Doomsday didn't add... Did I need to pull up the palette again? Like, I'm gonna. To be fucking petty, I am. Is this giving Doomsday? I mean, I look at this and I wish that there fucking was a Doomsday, but like, maybe this... But this is like a Shrek palette? Like, there's Doomsday. Like, is this giving Doomsday? Please. Please. Alright, so Liz said, Jeffree continuously says that nobody watches long-form content anymore, which isn't true because live streaming is bigger than what it's ever been. And also, what's it called? Podcasts. Podcasts are huge on YouTube right now. I really don't appreciate that. And I was really rooting for Jeffree to be interesting in this, and I was fascinated to hear what he had to say about why he made all this change, and I was kind of scared because of all the guns and stuff, and I was like listening intently. To basically blame you being forced out of YouTube because YouTube is dying as a platform and nobody's watching anymore, it's a really weird take because it's basically like, no, there's been so many more opportunities for other creators in the algorithm to be at the level where you were at, and it just take it with grace. You know what I mean? Like, you had an amazing run with Jeffree Star Cosmetics. You launched Jeffree Star Skin and Jeffree Star Pets. We never really hear about them. The Star Yak Burger is apparently doing well in Wyoming. And it's like, why would you not just focus on the fact that you had the most incredible run on YouTube, 30 million views a video, instead of now just being like, I'm not getting 30 million views a video anymore. That means that YouTube... And he's like, fuck YouTube. YouTube's dead. No one cares about it. On a YouTube video that YouTube then put on trending. Like, you're literally on trending. It just means that nobody is really interested to click on you. And that's okay because you had many years at, like, the top. It just felt really weird. Alright, okay. So, California Doll is saying, I really don't understand how Shane is saying, I don't care about the money, many times in this series. Because in this, he's created a sponsored 3-part series about something that could have been a 10-minute video, and it had merchandise at the end of it. So again, this is their job. Perfectly fine for them to make money, maximize the money. They already are by uploading it towards the end of the year whenever you make more money on YouTube anyway. If you don't know, when you upload on YouTube around the months of like November, December, you do make more money because advertisers are wanting people to view ads for their products so that people buy their products as gifts for the holiday season. So they've already done that by doing the November, December. That's just smart business. But to continuously go on about you don't care about the money, you haven't planned this series, and then you launch merchandise at the end of it, and it's all sponsored, it is all thought out. And that's okay, but just be honest. Like, we are not dumb children that maybe we once were when we watched your videos years ago. Alright, okay. Okay, we have someone who said, you're right, Adam, it doesn't give Doomsday at all. I can see where the right side of the palette does, with like the greens and darks. However, with the left side of the palette, it looks like a summer palette. It's giving Barbie 80s acrobatics at the water park. And a lot of people are saying that they literally think that these are like bad versions of Jeffree Star palettes. So like a lot of people are saying this looks like a rundown version of the Jeffree Star Thirsty palette or the Jawbreaker palette. And again, it just seemed that like, for the series being so built up on like Shane, like I understand color, and he continuously talked about the color story. I understand color stories. And then we get shown this, like, mess. Anyways. Alright, okay, I'm gonna read a couple more that there is here. C said, it's really weird to me that Shane said that Jeffree was his favorite person to film videos with while he was lying in the same bed with Ryland right next to him. It also feels like bringing up his palette and then revealing the shades are spread out among other things to try boost Jeffree Star's sales and also get Shane attention. Well, again, they only really have each other professionally nowadays. Shane did tease that he started the series to be with another celebrity and then, you know, it never happened. But I really do see that, like, they both can just, like, for the rest of their careers, hit ideas off of each other because they're in it together, if you get me. So, Mariah said, I do have a feeling that they didn't come out with the palette, but they are going to eventually come out with a mini palette. They obviously can't do the whole palette because Jeffree's already used some of the shades in other, you know, palettes that he's done, but I can see them putting it in a mini palette to sell something. Now, again, a lot of people are saying I'm a makeup artist and this palette wouldn't make sense for me to buy because it's kind of all over the place. And a lot of people are saying that they just basically agree with the fact that this series was like a meeting that could have been an email. I still 100% expected the launch of the palette at the end, which I'll say I did as well. And I'm not sure we won't end up with some sort of palette from these two a couple of years down the line as well. Alright, okay, so a lot of people are saying that Jeffree is still getting good views on his channel, but he's just really not making the effort to make interesting content anymore that's not selling something, and I really do agree that that is the case. And that's kind of my biggest takeaway from the series. I just can't believe that they shit so much on YouTube for being a dying platform whenever it's like just their career. Kind of like, I mean, it wouldn't be their careers if they just put more effort in. That's me to Jeffree. So we have a Dominus saying, it makes me feel really weird that Shane was sitting in the desert, borderline crying about this makeup that he didn't get to profit off of. The name is really bad, and it makes me think he wanted to blow up the world with this new palette and keep going in the makeup world before he decided that he was going to leave the circus. Remember, he left the circus, y'all? A lot of people are really agreeing with kind of the same consensus, and yeah, it's just like, I want to ask you, would you have bought the Doomsday palette? Like, if you did not know about Shane and Jeffree and you saw that palette, would you have bought it? Because I own a Morphe palette that's like the Abby Roberts palette, and it has like a bit of everything. I'm actually going to pull it up to kind of show you for reference. I wanted to get a makeup palette that would have a little bit of everything. Let me get Abby Roberts. This is not sponsored or anything, clearly, but I went into the shop and there was a palette that had a lot of really bright colors and, you know, some dark ones, and I was like, wow, this palette to me has a little bit of everything, right? So it kind of looks like the James Charles palette. I think shadily Morphe just kind of rebranded the James Charles palette. It has a little bit of everything, and it makes sense because it's a lot of everything. And it's not just like really colorful and then like really like it's a nice mix. So take this in, right? This makes sense to me. But then we go to like this, like, where it's like, most of it is like musty, like dulled down colors, and then you have like randomly like some like really glittery, and then like some really dull, and like really like bright, and then like most of it. So like, how are you supposed to like pair like this nasty swamp with like, yes! Like, it doesn't make sense. But anyway, I want to ask you, if you didn't know anything about them and you were a makeup lover, would you buy this palette? Let me know. Okay, well, end of a short-lived era. We are done talking about this series with Shane and Jeffree. Let me know if you would buy that palette. I really appreciate you watching this video. I appreciate your time. I will see you in my next one. Thank you for being here, and bye. Mwah.